The Bible lesson can be found in Joshua chapter 3, and that is in page 334 in the Pew Bible and in page 239 in the kids joining us in the service. This Bible reading is a little bit longer than usual, so I will read the entire reading in English, and I will do verses 5, 6, and 7 in Spanish. You will be able to follow me in the screens behind me. Crossing the Jordan. Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Chittim and went to the Jordan, where they camped before crossing over. After 3 days, the officers went throughout the camp, giving orders to the people. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God and the Levitical priests carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow it. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits between you and the ark. Do not go near it. Joshua told the people, "Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you." Joshua said to the priests, "Take up the Ark of the Covenant and pass on ahead of the people." So they took it up and went ahead of them. And the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of all Israel, so they may know that I'm with you as I was with Moses. Tell the priests who carry the Ark of the Covenant, when you reach the edge of the Jordan's waters, go and stand in the river." Now I will do 5, 6, and 7 in Spanish. Josué le ordenó al pueblo, "Purifíquense, porque mañana el Señor va a realizar grandes prodigios entre ustedes." Y a los sacerdotes les dijo, "Carguen el arca del pacto y pónganse al frente del pueblo." Los sacerdotes obedecieron y se pusieron al frente del pueblo. Luego el Señor le dijo a Josué, "Este día comenzaré a engrandecerte ante el pueblo de Israel. Así sabrán que estoy contigo como estuve con Moisés. Dales la siguiente orden a los sacerdotes que llevan el arca del pacto. Cuando lleguen a la orilla del Jordán, deténganse." Joshua said to the Israelites, "Come here and listen to the words of the Lord your God. This is how you will know that the living God is among you, and that he will certainly drive out before you the Canaanites, Hittites, Hivites, Perizzites, Girgashites, Amorites, and Jebusites. See, the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord of all the earth will go into the Jordan ahead of you. Now then, choose 12 men from the tribe of Israel, one from each tribe, and as soon as the priests who carry the Ark of the Lord of all the earth, set foot in the Jordan, its waters flowing downstream will be cut off and stand up in a heap." So when the people broke camp to cross the Jordan, the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. Now the Jordan is at flood stage all during harvest. Yet, as soon as the priests who carry the Ark reach the Jordan and their feet touch the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away at a town called Adam, in the vicinity of Saritan, while the water flowing down to the Sea of the Araba, that is, the Dead Sea, was completely cut off. So the people crossed over opposite Jericho. The priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stopped in the middle of the Jordan and stood on dry ground, while all Israel passed by until the whole nation had completed the crossing on dry ground.
I know you probably will find this as a big surprise, but I am not an outdoorsman. You won't catch me in the boundary waters, unless, of course, there's chocolate. I won't be camping with you. I won't be fishing with you. But I do have to tell you about one little incident that I tried to sort of be an outdoorsman. We have a river in our small town called the Shell Rock River. It's a pretty good size for a river, I thought anyway, so I didn't want to go across that, but I was in Mason City, which is the big town next to our town. So Mason City is about 44,000 folks. North Springs is about 1. And I was in East Park. And I was crossing over the bridge, and I saw there's a little creek that runs through East Park. Creek, whatever you want to call it, but it runs through East Park. And I saw when I was crossing over it that there were some people on inner tubes, and they were floating down the creek. And if you keep floating down the creek, you can get into, I think it's the Cedar River, and you could flow into the Cedar River, which I wouldn't want to do, of course, because that was a much bigger thing. But the creek seemed pretty manageable for me. So I was 16 at the time, so I had my own handy-dandy car. I got an inner tube. I didn't tell my parents where I was going. I just loaded up the inner tube, went over to East Park, and I thought, okay, well, I'll float down the creek. Did you know that creeks run a little bit different after it's rained a lot? So I'm thinking, okay, well, it's moving, but it's just a little creek. It still looks like I might go a little faster, so I get in at the very top of the creek, and then I started going over, and very quickly I learned that I was in danger. It was going really fast, and there was no way to get out. I'm buoyant, but trying to heave me up over the side wasn't going to work. Now, I tried to get over to one side or the other, but even if I got to the side, it didn't make any difference. I couldn't get up, and the creek is going fast. And so I'm looking ahead at what's ahead, and I'm going, not only is the river ahead, but there's also this little bridge that cars pass over in the head, and they've done this wonderful thing for this bridge. It's all concrete, and the concrete has big, solid pillars down the middle into the creek. So here's part of the creek goes this way, part of the creek goes this way, and then there's this big old pillar. And you know where the inner tube wants to go? Towards that pillar. I was trying to hold on to a little reed. Please! There's nobody else around. Not like I would yell out anyway, good night. A fish slipped through my hand. Lucky fish. So I decide, well, what am I going to do? I can't go back up the stream. That's not going to work. I can't even touch the bottom, and it's running too fast. If I go down the stream, I'm bound to hit that concrete pole right in the middle. That's my luck. And even if I do manage to get past that, it's still going pretty fast. I'll end up in the river, and that will be even worse. But I have no choices. So I try to get into this inner tube as much as I can, put my head there, and I decided to let go of that poor little reed who said, thank you. And then, and I closed my eyes, and I went down. The inner tube does bounce off, and I went down one side, and after I went down through that little barricade, I finally got to a place where I could get to the shore and get out, which I did. I did not go back in the creek. And I haven't been inner tubing since. Don't invite me. Put the inner tube in the car, drove home, and never told my parents. You're not going to meet them. They won't drive up here anyway. I want you to imagine being on the bank of the Jordan River, because that's where we're at. We are on the bank of the Jordan River. Well, let's back up a little bit. Let's see where we were before the Jordan River. Who is leading this group now that they're at the Jordan River? Who's their leader? Joshua. And before Joshua, the Israelites had a different leader. His name was Moses. And Moses is the one who led the children out of Egypt, where they were forced into captivity and they were slaves and all that stuff. But we got to the book of Exodus long before the book of Exodus, about 400 years. Before we got to the book of Exodus, Moses was there because of somebody else who brought all those wonderful folks over to the land of Egypt. Do you remember what his name was? He has a musical named after him. Joseph. Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, right? And Joseph is the favorite son of who? Yeah, well, I know, it's getting a little muddier. All right, it's getting muddier. I got you. Joseph is the favorite son of Jacob. How many sons did Jacob have? 12, right? 12. We have the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph is his favorite. And Jacob has, he has a twin brother. Do you remember his twin brother? Esau, very hairy guy. And Esau and Jacob, they are the son of who? He laughs. Isaac. Isaac is the laughing guy, all right? And Isaac is the son of who? Father Abraham. We're going to zip back up here to Joshua. Now, we've been wandering around the desert, the wilderness, for 40 years. 40 years. The Bible says it's to get rid of a generation. Okay. So these folks here, they probably didn't cross over the Red Sea with Moses, but they've heard about it. Their grandpa and grandma and their mom and dad have told them stories about, when we were back in Egypt. And that Moses guy, he led us through. But this new Joshua person, I don't know anything about him. I mean, he's got kind of a big head. He's the one who went in and crossed over, and that's why we're here, by the way. Because Joshua went over into the other side, and he came back and said, yeah, there are big people out there, but we can do it because the Lord is on our side. What was he thinking? And now we've been wandering around in this wilderness. So grandpa's dead, mom and dad are dead, and these are the new generation. They have kids. And they have a new leader. Moses died. And their new leader is Joshua. And this is what Joshua says. All right, I want you, all of you, to, we're going to go from this campground. We're going to go to the campground right next to the Jordan River. Don't matter that's in flood stage. That's where I want you to camp. All right, I want you to think, how many of you are parents or have been parents or want to be parents someday? Okay, so you're taking your kids down to the Jordan River. This is where your leader says that you need to camp. The Jordan River is in flood stage. What you need to know about the Jordan is it starts around here with Mount Hermon, which is roughly about 9,000 feet above sea level. And if we would go to where the Jordan starts, we're going about 1,600 feet above sea level. And the Jordan is going to do this big drop because it's going to go down to the Dead Sea, which is 1,400 feet below sea level. So most rivers flows like this, but the Jordan is going to flow like this. And we're going to put the Jordan with all kinds of rain. Well, not really rain so much. We're going to put it in the spring season, so all the snow is melting off Mount Hermon. So now, as parents, your leader has said, I want you to go camp by the Jordan River. And it's at flood stage. We're going to hang out there for a few days. So you, as parents, here's what the women are going. The mothers are usually going, don't go near the river. Stay out of that river. I don't want you near that river. Don't go into the river. And dad is saying, yeah, whatever she says. Then one of your kids get by the river. Go get him. Yes, dear. So you've been having this constant battle, trying to keep your kids out of the river. It's been flowing by fast. It's a fascination. I mean, the kids could have a big playground. They could have a carnival in the back, but you know where they want to go. They want to go to where they're not supposed to go, right? They want to go to the river. And then your leader comes up with this wonderful plan. All right, we are going to go in the river. And I can just hear the women. We've been telling those kids to stay out of the river. What are we going to... He's worse. He's worse. We should have kept Moses. My grandpa said that Joshua guy was no good. And now this proves it. Yes, dear. Whatever you say, dear. I'll be sure to talk to Joshua. Joshua. He is the new leader in town. appointed by God. Moses is gone. And God says to Joshua, I am going to do amazing things. And this is what I'd like you to do. I want you to get the priests, and I want you to get the ark, and I want you to go down to the Jordan River. The Jordan, by the way, that name means to go down, to descend, which makes sense. You know, we're going from here down to here. So this is what God says for Joshua to do. And Joshua, if you'll read the book of Joshua, you'll find that Joshua doesn't question the Lord like Moses would. Joshua goes, all right, but Joshua's smart. Joshua does this. Priests, priests, put your phones on silent. Take the Ark of the Covenant, and you are going to go in the river. Do you see what Joshua is not doing? He's not going in. Priest, go. Now, a priest knows that he has to follow whatever this man of God says for him to do. The Ark, how many of you have seen Raiders of the Lost Ark? The Ark of the Covenant is what Raiders of the Lost Ark was trying to portray, but really the Ark of the Covenant has this. It is a gold box, and that is believed to be, the Israelites saw it as a sacred place. That is where God resides. For 40 years, they haven't probably even seen the Ark, because the only people who could see the Ark were the priests, and they could only go once every year to the Holy of Holies. So now the Ark is coming out before them. I can just see the mother saying, don't you touch that, don't you touch that, don't you get close. Yes, dear, I'll keep them away from the Ark. Inside the Ark are three things: the Ten Commandments, Aaron's staff, and some leftover manna. The Ten Commandments. Have you ever seen that movie where Moses comes out with 3 tablets? I bring you these 15, these 10 Commandments. Here's more likely what those 10 Commandments were like. We think that there were 5 on one side and 5 on the other ones. That's what we were taught. But more likely there were 10 on one side and 10 on the other, and they were identical. They were the first copy. It was a mimeograph in stone. This is the deal. Back in those times, when you did a covenant, each person of that covenant would get to keep a copy of the covenant. And you would go and put them in the most sacred place that you had. This is what God said to his people. I want to put my copy with you. You put your copy in the Ark of the Covenant. I'll put my copy in the Ark of the Covenant. We will be together. So the 10 Commandments, this covenant that God has made with them, is going out before them, and the priests are going to carry out the ark. Now, they don't get to touch it. They get these long poles, and so they slide them through here, and so there's probably 5 or 6 guys, priests, and this is what they're hearing from their leader. Go into the river. It's flooding. I mean, if they touch the river, they know that their feet could give way, that they could drop the ark. More importantly, they could drop themselves. Are you sure, Joshua? No, we don't get that recorded, but I know what's going through their heads. I'm a priest. Are you sure you want to put me here? Go into the river. So they touch the river, and all of a sudden, the river stops. Now, it's not like the Red Sea. You remember where the Red Sea comes up in parts like that? It's not like this one. The river is stopped up somewhere. They can't even see where the river's been stopped. All of a sudden, though, they touch the water, and the river has stopped. And everybody gets to go across. They get to cross the Jordan. I understand that there's a TV series that used to be called Crossing Jordan. Anyone a fan of Crossing Jordan? No one's going to fess up. There we go, some back there. Crossing Jordan is, in my understanding, it's kind of like a CSI kind of thing. So Jordan is a doctor, and Jordan's job is to basically do work on the folks who have died in order to try to figure out what they died from and all that kind of stuff. And it's But it's very interesting that her name is Jordan, and it's called crossing Jordan. Jordan means to descend, and crossing Jordan, in our tradition, means to go to the other side. Now, hold on for a moment. Cross. Have you heard the word cross before? Oh, you're Christians. I need to hear a better response than that. Have you heard the word cross before? Oh, thank goodness. Comes from the Latin word crux. The crux, the crucible. Here we are in this place, and whatever happens has such a big determination, it's literally between life and death. God is telling us to go to the other side. The floodwaters are high. They're rushing. Yeah, those priests are going to go ahead of them, but what happens if we get across and all of a sudden they change their mind? And the priests drop the ark, and the water starts to flow again. What happens if we end up like the Egyptians did back when Moses was, because Joshua was no Moses. What should we do? If you look in the Bible, you'll find a lot of references to crossing Jordan. Now, other religions worship rivers. If you were a Hindu, you would worship the river Ganges. But we are Christians, and for us, that Jordan River is nothing to be worshiped. It is a barrier in order for us to get across it. You will find that over and over through the scriptures. You will find David, who gets over there because he wants to put a barrier between him and the king Ahab, who's coming after him. You'll find that Elijah wants, or that's Elijah and Abraham. David is trying to escape his own son. Crossing the Jordan. Now, if they get to the other side, they get to the promised land, right? But if they stay there in the river, well, they could get swallowed up. And if they stay on the other side, they've been in the wilderness for 40 years. They're sick of being in the wilderness. But no matter how sick they are of it, to think that they have to get to the other side is scary. Friends, all of us are going to cross a river. It may not be the River Jordan. All of us may not end up going to the Holy Land, but you and I are all going to cross a river. And I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be scary. I don't care how many times you've been with people who have crossed that river before. When it comes to us, it will be the first time, and it will be the last. Will we trust in the Lord our God? Now, you got it all right before. We as Christians know about a cross, the one up there. That's because Jesus crossed the river before us. It's not going to be any less scary. I can guarantee you that. No matter how you say, oh, I just want to go in my sleep. Oh, when I'm ready to go, if I'm that sick, I don't want to go through. I know. I've been with folks. And they hold on. And as much as the family around them says, it's okay for you to go. It's like, but I don't know what it's going to be like. But he does. He does. He went across the river for us and built a bridge so that we could get home. Someday, you're going to go cross that river. And it's my prayer that you know what's on the other side. I don't care if you're scared. You can be scared, but I want you to know deep in your heart where you are going. That you know you're going to the promised land. And if you don't, we need to talk. Or you need to talk to someone else who's a Christian and they know where they're going. Or you can talk with him directly. He's got 24/7 all the time. Know where you're going when you cross the river. Gracious God, we ask that you be with us, that you would give us your courage and your boldness, and that you would give us the assurance of knowing that you have crossed the river and that you're taking us with you home. In your name we pray. Amen.